Okay, so we're going to keep on moving. I'm sorry we're a tiny bit behind, but we actually have with us here a special subject matter expert. As you know, we have been talking about participatory budgeting for quite some time. It has been proposed in District 3 that we would take part in this pilot project. Well, we have here today Fran Taro from District 8, who has actually been working for the last 2 years on a pilot idea of how participatory budgeting would work. I know that she's talked with Pete for quite some time, and Fran is actually going to give us just a brief overview. She knows more than what we can fit into this time. She's going to give us a brief overview of how participatory budgeting works and the process from there's money up here and how do we use it to how do we get the projects on the street. Thank you, Fran.
Thank you. I don't have enough, I don't have a presentation to put up on the screen, but I did print out a few sheets that you might share between yourselves on the talking points, highlighting what we're hoping to teach about PB or participatory budgeting. So, you're going to stand in the corner.
We're going to talk about
Yeah, and you want me to sharing it then.
Right, so I'm hoping that your district will be the first in San Jose to launch this idea and be the first to kind of do it in the area, because so far nobody in our district are strongly supporting it or wanting to take a chance and be the first to go. But before I go through the presentation, I just wanted to share that PB really started in Brazil, the history of it, way back in 1989. So they've had experience, and organizations have been able to collect data to be able to support the ideas that they feel we should try to see how we can be effective. I'm reading a few quotes from some of the people that have participated to kind of give you a feel of what they personally have experienced that are personal due to their experiences in the process. This is a 20-year-old student. He participated in the project in New York. And he says, the thing that surprised me the most was seeing how the community came together to make PB work. Even though I went to school in the district during my junior high and high school days, I was just an outsider looking in. As a result of PB, I have developed he says, as a result of that, he developed a very unfair and biased notion of the community that he lived in. Then I have another quote from a teacher who learned about PB because she was teaching about democracy. And she says, I experienced several aha during my participation. One of them was when I interviewed an immigrant voter, which is part of the process. She described how meaningful it was to vote that day. It was the first time she was able to vote in New York City. Then she also volunteered in another committee during her PB participation, and she realized she worked at the polls where people came to vote, and she said, I saw such a diverse and wonderful group of people who would wait an hour to vote for something that would have a direct impact on their lives. I was very moved that the when they had the expo part of the project where they actually displayed what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and who would be participating in doing that particular project. She said she observed the passion that the people had for their projects and their creativity in representing that passion. And then I have a high school student from Vallejo, and these are her comments. I'm a senior at Jesse Bethel High School. I live in East Vallejo, and I went to a PV event, and I'm a student at Jesse Bethel. They held the PV at her high school, and she said, that was the first time she was going to hear about PV. She said, I actually came for the free pizza. I was attracted by a sign that says free pizza, but I stayed because I saw an opportunity to make a change. Before this, I had little to no experience in working with my community, but I had always been interested. And then the last example is he's a long-time organizer and a leader at a Bangladesh community. And he says he's from New York, and his community is often left out and less likely to take part in civic engagement and election processes. It was heartwarming and inspiring to see members of the varied immigrant communities, especially his community, come out to vote. Many of these community members are not fortunate enough to be able to vote in local, state, and federal elections. Because of PV, the community members receive the opportunity to have a voice in deciding where their money is allocated in their neighborhoods and their district. It was easy to see the glow in their faces and the happiness they felt in taking part in this democratic process.
Well, that's very powerful. You know, but I would like to point out there was some confusion because we did at a previous meeting talk about what flexibility we might be limiting our council member to, because we would not get the extra funds if we decided to go for participatory budgeting, and he felt that, well, you know, the other districts were going to go for that, but he didn't want to be restricted from writing budget documents to access that extra money. But as Pete, you said that, you told me that our mayor and our council member have had further talks to possibly allow a $100,000 pilot project separate from the additional monies, which is why Fran is here. And Fran, if I could just help you out. This timeline here is basically what Fran is here to speak about, the actual process of participatory budgeting.
Right, so this is kind of the outline of the different phases that you might go through from the start to when you're actually have voted and you're beginning to implement. So I just have a few bullet points that I will share with you. When you do participatory budgets, you really are done by the people and for the people that are involved. It is more involved in providing social justices by arming citizens with skills and knowledge so they can lead and replicate themselves so that it can be continued through future generations. And because it begins with the people, it has the possibility of including many of the people that are left in, like this group here, those that you may never see come, because the key principles that they aspire to bring to the table is that they want the funds to be strategic funds. These are money that matters to people. And usually the more money that you have to work with, the more people you will bring to the table. And the second principle is that the PB process creates the ability for for the process itself to remove obstacles and allow people to engage. So for example, if people can't come to you, you might bring the meetings to them. If the people's time are so occupied, you want to have diverse time meetings so they can be there. And if transportation, for example, are problems, you find a way to make sure that you go to where they are. They don't always have to come to you. And then you target the outreach so that if you're the neighborhood that's going to start it, you make sure you focus on the different neighborhoods that are in your community or your district. So if it's District 3, however many neighborhoods you have, HOAs that are in the district, you make sure those groups are targeted to be included. And then you have grassroots leaders that are chosen from amongst the people. You give them the power to know what they can do and to be able to be the leaders, so that those that have not led before will have a chance to learn the skills and be the leaders of that process and future processes. And as part of the process of developing a group, you create a steering committee who will then be kind of the starter for the process to begin. They will get together, decide what the PB rules are. For example, will you include 16 years old or older? Or will they be able to vote or no? Do you include people that are in the county pockets or exclude them, or those kind of decisions? And then should the project be District 3 wide or very localized, one neighborhood only? And then the steering committee will agree on roles and responsibilities, who will participate, who's not eligible to participate. Then you have budget delegates who will be selected, and their roles will be explained. Then you have facilitators and workshops so that all of the training can happen as part of the roles. Then the key part, eventually, to begin is the PB cycle will be created. You have a group that does begin to start up the effort. And the different phases of PB includes these items under the cycle where you collect the ideas get developed into proposals, and then the proposals, once they're voted and selected, you then implement, and the process begins making sure that you're evaluating, implementing, and monitoring the whole process. So those are just the key points of what can happen. The cycle will follow this format here, and it's usually a one-year process because it takes that long to get everybody engaged, get them trained, and actually do the work. It's not an easy process, so it does take time and it does take money and commitment.
Thank you very much, Fran. I know at one point, oh, thank you so much, I appreciate it. At one point, we had talked about maybe getting a volunteer subcommittee together, but in the interest of time, if it's okay, I'd like to defer that to the next meeting where we can talk further, because as you can see from Fran's background, that there are many steps to this, and to do it successfully, you do have to have people that are committed to the process. So do I have agreement we can defer the actual selection of the subcommittee? Okay. Yes. Alrighty. So thank you for your patience with my time.